Hello everyone, welcome to the October 2022 edition of the Fuse Community Call. I hope you're doing good out there. It's good to see so many people engaged with the future of the Fuse network. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button and subscribe, and that's the last time I'll say it, I promise. So today you're here with me, Ian Kane, and some of the key members of the Fuse team. We're here to tell the community about what we've been working on, how it's going, and what's coming soon. But first, an apology for my slightly croaky voice. It's been a hell of a week. But as always, the show must go on. And moreover, the most important people in the call, they've all still got their voices, so you're good. So why are we here today? Fuse community calls are all about letting the audience hear what we're working on. We have some really ambitious plans, but moreover, it's a chance for us to directly communicate with our community and gather some feedback. So we live stream the calls and they are available immediately afterwards for any listeners that want to unpack anything. Some of the topics we go through are quite complex, so you can dive in and just listen to that at your own time. So before we jump off, how is everyone doing today?
Doing fantastic. Thank you, Ian.
Di, how you
Hello,
doing?
gentlemen. Hello, gentlemen. I'm doing great. Great to be here.
Nice.
Well, doing well.
Carl, you good?
Very good, yeah. Awesome. Glad to be here.
Nice one, guys. All right, cool. So thanks for taking a minute out of your days. I know how busy you all are. So I want to kick off with Robert, as we always do, not directly kick off with Robert, obviously, but he wants to share a high-level overview of kind of what's happening out there right now. And we're going to include some of the macroeconomic picture as well. It's quite important to get an overview right now. So Rob, jump in, man. What's happening? Tell us more.
Yeah, so nothing major from me. I'm not gonna speak too much today. Want to give the other guys a chance to speak on some of the things they've been working on in particular. Just very high level, we've been traveling in the past few weeks out in Singapore 2 weeks ago. I'm currently in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam, just out here networking basically and getting a feel for what's happening in the space. And obviously, at a more sort of macro level, I think everyone's feeling it. Everyone's seeing what's happening in the global markets. I feel privileged essentially to be in Web3. It almost feels like we're in a bit of a sort of protection bubble in this space, because whilst everyone else out there is really feeling the fear, the FUD, I think that those working in the Web3 space, we feel as though we have solutions to some of the problems we're seeing in society. And Mark did a talk in Singapore on how Web3 can fix some of the problems, some of the, the title was How Web3 Can Fix Our Broken Economy. And it was perfect time because it resonates more than ever. I think that we've really got an opportunity to sort of rebuild the economy from the ground up using this technology, using layer ones for ownership, giving back ownership to everyday people. And more importantly, the big thing we're seeing right now is infrastructure, middleware infrastructure, things like Charge and other stuff out there, which we'll talk on more later, which are really allowing us to build applications that everyday people can actually use. So it feels, it feels great to be in this space. It feels great to be out there in Singapore, networking with people. There's a buzz in the air in this space in particular. So good times.
Nice. I think we're going to get Mark on the show as well soon. We're going to have a chat with him and go through that deck and kind of outline some of the more ambitious plans, Robert, as well. I think it's I couldn't agree with you more, man. I also feel lucky to be in this space right now. We do seem to have the solutions to the problems. That's what we're here for, right? So it's a good time. All right, cool. So I'm just going to let's jump over to Diana. I want to get a take on marketing. So Di's been super busy. She's also been traveling. Di, give us the lowdown on what's been happening. We've got so much going on in kind of the event space, marketing, comms. Break it down.
Yes, indeed. It's been a very busy 6 weeks for the Fuse team. We're an international team of around 30 people for the community, if they're not aware of this. So we're out there all the time on the run, attending all international events and representing Fuse. Of course, as Robert has mentioned, I think the highlight of September was our presence at the Token 24/9 in Singapore. We were there as golden sponsors, so it was a great exposure for Fuse, great opportunity to meet our existing partners and definitely build new partnerships and things that Carl is right now working on. So was a wonderful experience for us there. Apart from Singapore, where we're also present at one of the biggest developer conferences, the DevCon in Bogota. Our CEO Mark was present at GITEX, a big event taking place this week in Dubai, and our friend Robert here has also been in both Asia and Vietnam. Throughout the past couple of weeks. So yes, we've been attending a lot of conferences, always on the move, and more are to come. I'd also like to mention that we always update what conferences we're going to on our Twitter. So if you're ever out there at the conference and would like to meet the Fuse team, we'll be more than happy to meet you. So drop us a DM and just let's meet for a chat or for any business opportunity. Apart from that, in terms of events, so we're working on definitely more events are to come, but as some of the very upcoming news will be revealed in the upcoming 2 weeks is the new release of the Fuse blog. So we're building a new native blog. It's going to be very a lot of very interesting content about our ecosystem development, new partnerships, a lot of case studies on real-world implementation. So very a big amount of very interesting content for you to dive into. I advise the audience to sign up for our newsletter. If you want to have this, those interesting pieces of articles dropped into your mailbox right away, you can find our newsletter on our Twitter page. There's a small place called a newsletter sign up link on our Twitter account, so you can do it from there. One more exciting thing about the blog is that we'll be introducing a Fuse Academy. So the Fuse Academy is all about really raising awareness about the blockchain technology to the general audience out there, and really showcasing how a blockchain can transform the payments industry. We really take a lot of pride in real-world implementations. So the more people know about the power of blockchain, hopefully the faster adoption of this technology will come. So a lot of very interesting content out there as well. And we have the podcast section on our blog. Our friend Ian over here has been doing some awesome work and creating some awesome podcasts with our partners and project that they're building on Fuse. So it's worth checking out on our YouTube channel. And they will also be available on our blog. So stay tuned for that. Some things that are coming also soon, maybe in the Q4. One of our biggest pushes will be a focus maybe on the Asian market a bit. It's still in the works, but what I can share right now, we'll be doing some work with our key partner, Bitaza. For some of you who do not know who Bitaza is a great innovative company who is out there using our blockchain technology to help businesses offer blockchain-based payments. So connecting blockchain to the real world. We'll be holding a conference with them there maybe by somewhere in the end of November. So stay also tuned for that. And do check out some articles on our blog already about what Bitaza is if you're interested. They're doing some really awesome work out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Di. Thank you so much. So as Di said, just to recap, we've been busy, right? One of the highlights is that these guys are out on the road. So if you do want to connect with them, just reach out, drop us an email. They'll be more than pleased to come and talk with you, have a chat about whatever it is. And yeah, this is one of the main things that we've been going for at the end of the year this year. But then building the blog and having a whole new place to have home for our content, doing more video content, it's really cool. So all of this is becoming sort of reality in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled, and we'll be putting that onto our social media. And yeah, you won't not be able to see it, I'm pretty sure. So thank you, Di. Nice one. All right, let's jump into Carl. We want to jump into the kind of BD side of things, business development, partnerships, what's been happening, who have you been talking to? Fill us in a little bit, man. How's it been going this past month?
Yeah, so as Diana mentioned and Rob mentioned, we've all been traveling. It's been a kind of a hectic 6 weeks, and Singapore was super bullish. I think it's like it's crazy because you get a lot of new people into the industry, but actually you are seeing a lot more builders join to the industry, and I think it's like super important and super interesting at this moment in time. I think I'd like to highlight a couple of things, and so most of BD is not as glamorous as it would be in the kind of bull market and all the different things that would go around there, but you have to apply this builder's mentality to this, and you have to find a new way to go forward, right? So I'd like to highlight some of the details that we'll be going around. So ChromePay, which is our recent digital ID integration, that was announced in September, and I think going into the depth of that and why that's so important, how that kind of meets the vision that we're trying to get to, is that, you know, there's a problem that in underserved financial institutions, actually in underserved financial regions, sorry, there's more fragmented and like paper-based records, and it's a bit of a struggle to kind of prove the authenticity of the different identifications that are out there, and this can lead to people being, you know, not, you know, it doesn't lead to an inclusive financial services system, right? So there may be companies that sit on the side that have capital that want to deploy that and help businesses grow and help people grow, but without a way of verifying that, without a way of securing that, it's very difficult to kind of say, okay, let's go for this and let's help that go through there. So ChromePay, which are a partner there, and their pilot starts in Ethiopia. They already have an existing Web 2 digital payments infrastructure, and they're working with local government there to try and support, you know, this digital ID, like decentralized ID, DID, whichever way you want to phrase this, identification that's built on the blockchain and can be used to support and give certainty to those kind of lending parameters that would exist there. So now you have this record of this information for these users that exist, be it in an NFT form or a smart contract form, whichever way, you know, makes the most sense in that particular context. That data will be stored in a decentralized way. And so, like I mentioned, over 2,000 farmers that come on utilize this system, and it really is like a pathway for financing, scaling, maintenance if it's needed, improvement of the current operations. It applies and opens up these doors to the different areas, which, you know, is super important. It supports our mission, you know, making the financial system more inclusive. And, you know, like as Robert had mentioned earlier, there's this undercurrent of bullish sentiment around the market. Now you connect with them. I've been at a few ad hoc events this week as well, and you connect with people, and there is a real, you know, buzz around the industry as such that exists. There's still tremendous amounts of capital flowing into the industry. Overall, it's very, very bullish, and it provides a positive outlook on what otherwise is quite a gloomy macroeconomic sentiment. So yeah, the future's most definitely bright for Web3, but, you know, we're trying to say we're not going to be complacent in this period. This is a fantastic opportunity to build partnerships that kind of advance our builders mentality that we're carrying through here, and also partnerships that reduce the barriers to entry for developers that want to transition from different industries or that want to come and join the Fuse network from a different chain. So the past couple of months, we've integrated ChainStack, which of course is a managed node service. That kind of takes it away, right? So, you know, you've got devs, you've got builders that are out there. We don't want to waste their time building infrastructure if they don't want to. We don't want to waste their time running infrastructure if they don't want to. And this also supports our vision of a multi-chain future, right? So they can have their nodes in different places. Sorry, like they heard me say Web3, they're coming for me, so I apologize. As is the government in the UK. But yeah, so it provides this kind of level of abstraction that they don't necessarily need to. They don't need to run their infrastructure. They don't need to run their hardware in this context. They can go multi-chain very easily, and it brings that load balancing that we're required to bring the next set of people on. And then we also integrated a Marshal as well. So a Marshal, which just allows a more easy query and an indexing of information that exists on the data on the Fuse blockchain. The best way to kind of say that is to give a use case for this, right? So when you think about e-commerce businesses, when they need to query digital wallets, and, you know, I'm not talking about crypto wallets as such here, but when they need to query digital wallets, they'll need to query various points of data that would exist there, and there'll often be multiple pullbacks to ensure that happens. Because the SLAs in e-commerce and physical commerce are very tight, right? So you're not going to have enough time to do that. Marshal adds another level of abstraction. You know, if projects want to come on build on the Fuse network now as an e-commerce project, we have 3 points of failure as such that you can pull the data from. We have the public API. Public RPC that's available. We have the API that you can plug into the Explorer, and now you also have a Marshal as an additional one. And we're always looking to add more infrastructure there as well. So. But I'd be stealing the thunder of my far more qualified compatriot Nagu if I went into that. So I just wanted to give a quick update on what we've been doing and how we've been doing for the next wave of developers, of builders, and users coming to the blockchain space.
Nice, thank you, Carl. I think that's one of the most important sections of the chat as well. Like now we're going to segue into Nagu's part, because without now, we can't deliver anything that you just been discussing about. So it's very important. But I also have spoken to some of these guys recently, Chainstack, Unmarshall, interviewed them over the last couple of weeks. Honestly, the solutions that they talk about and are providing, they're pretty groundbreaking. Like, they really are going to make it super easy for people to make Web3 apps. Whereas in the past, it's just been a ridiculous process to try and get things done. So yeah, I think, as Robert said at the beginning, as you said now, Carl, I think it's never been a better moment. And I just think the momentum's building, right? And yeah, and we need to adapt. So again, that's why we're going to ask Nagu to come onto the stage now. Nagu is the kind of Fuse tech guy. He's our tech lead. So he's going to tell us how everything that we've discussed, how we're actually implementing this into our network so that it's capable of dealing with this when we need to serve 1 billion customers potentially. So Nagu, take it away, my man.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. So there are a lot of interesting things happening on the network, both from an infrastructure perspective, but also on like a network operations perspective and ecosystem development point of view. But today, I think I'll cover three main topics to update the community, what's happening with the network, infrastructure, and ecosystem. The very first one is the Netherland migration. So currently, Fuse runs Open Ethereum for all the Fuse node software. Open Ethereum was deprecated last year, which basically means they will no longer maintain any updates to the software, no longer issue any security updates. So it's like dead software. So for us to continue to run that software is a huge risk. So we needed to find a new home, new solution to run the Fuse node clients. So given the available options, Nethermind is the best fit for Fuse network architecture. So we started implementing Nethermind clients both in the testnet and the mainnet. But Nethermind is also a very reliable software provider for Node, the Node software, the client software. They are active contributor to Ethereum Merge, Gnosis Chain, which is like our sister chain in proof of authority networks. They're also contributing a lot to Ethereum rollups like Starkware, and they've been involved in many DeFi products. So they are a very reliable, sustainable provider solution for us to use. With that said, Fuse Nethermind will be collaborating closely to provide both the technical support that's needed for the network, but also a lot of R&D into the Fuse protocol development, security upgrades, network monitoring, health related metrics, a lot of DeFi roll-up, RPC APIs, in all this kind of custom Fuse improvement proposal that we need on the network. So we'll be working with them very closely in continue to make the network more attractive for our users. With that said, we have approximately 99% done with migrating all our Fuse Spark testnet nodes. That means, the full nodes, the validator nodes, explorer nodes, etc., all the backend infrastructure that actually runs to Spark. We are also successfully running about 4 or 5 validator nodes and the boot nodes, full nodes in the mainnet too. But the full rollout for Nethermind nodes for mainnet will be coming gradually. So some Nethermind full nodes, they're already successful running today by the Fuse Foundation, Fuse Labs. The next step would be basically to release to other validators and gradually complete the migration for Nethermind.
Nice. Okay.
With that said, I'll jump to the second topic, which is a relatively new and old, depending on you can't. It's basically a fuse improvement protocol for something we call unbounding period or something called delegation locking. What it basically means is when you, as a user, when you stake your fuse tokens into the network as a delegator, uh, uh, there's a weakness in the system where you can immediately get out of the delegation, but the network consensus still thinks you are not exited until the next cycle. So this is a small weakness in the system. So we're trying to address this through a consensus level improvement protocol. So this misbehavior will be addressed at the network level using FIP10, which is what we call unbounding period. And the way it will be introduced is there'll be an offset time period introduced, and this will be customizable. And what happens is, I'll give an example that would be much more easier to understand. So when I say like a block height, it basically means the current block number. Okay. So let's say our current block height is 100,000, means our current block number that the network is processing, just confirmed, is 100,000. So an unbounding block period basically means, let's say we have an offset something like 30,000 blocks, which basically means when a delegator staked fuse tokens and he immediately want to get out, he has to wait at least 30,000 blocks before he can successfully withdraw his stake. So for example, when this FIP is applied, um, if the user, you as a user who already delegated, wants to get out at, let's say, 115,000 block height, 115, then basically the system will stop you from doing it because it's less than 30,000 block height. But if, say, for example,
can I ask you a question? How does the unbounding impact the kind of overall economics of the network?
Basically, that's why I said it's a weakness and a misbehavior in the system. Means we specifically do not want a delegator to get in and get out immediately, right? So there needs to be certain kind of lock-in period, and it has advantage, means it can potentially lead to some exploits because the block reward runs at the cycle level, block cycle level, and the staking kind of runs on in an individual cycle level. So we definitely do not want a behavior, even though we have a lot of monitoring, other kind of alert mechanism. If somebody is doing today, it will immediately tell us, this person is trying to do this kind of behavior. But we still want to address this from a more network architecture level, not like a bandage. So when we fix this thing, there'll be two important. First of all, we'll be fixing this weakness in the system. And the second, it allows the fuse tokens to be locked in until, whatever that offset period is, say 30,000 blocks, that's 30,000 blocks. That's like one cycle, so 2 days. So that means there is a lesser circulation supply in the market of fuse tokens, which, on a net effect, is more valuable for the network and more valuable for the token. So those are the two immediate benefits that we see, both from a security perspective and economic perspective, in solving this unbounding period issue.
Okay, so that's an improvement to the network that needs to be made.
Yeah,
I suppose that
correct.
leads us into the kind of the advent of what we're trying to achieve here, which is sort of Fuse 2.0, I guess you could call it, and kind of moving to the next stage in our cycle. So tell us a little bit more about that, Nagu.
Yeah, so what we are calling Fuse 2.0 is basically a substantial proposals for enhancing the Fuse network. So it will be a bundle of FIPS trying to address various kind of business goals from a network improvement perspective, like scalability, privacy, storage, oracles, the bridge operations, cross-chain messaging, this kind of stuff. When with this Fuse 2.0, Fuse will offer variety of scalable solutions, especially like in response to Ethereum merge and the roll-up centric Ethereum, the way the Ethereum is moving on. So with Fuse 2.0, it will be become a lot more easier to deploy L2s and L3s. L3s are something called app chains. They're application-specific chains, RZK rollups, things like this become much more easier to launch on Fuse network. And with this kind of scalability architecture, we're also thinking a modular network architecture for Fuse. What it basically means is today in a typical blockchain, the three components like a consensus, execution layer, which is basically your settlement layer, and the data availability layer, the data that you put on the blockchain, they all sit in one chain. So like achieving real scalability means you have to decouple them so that each of them can become their own, how do I say, a processing engine. So a modular network architecture is basically decoupling these core components of blockchain and running them in parallel so that you can achieve massive scalability. That's basically the idea with the scalability. We also, with the Fuse 2.0 improvement proposals, privacy respecting KYC, like a DID as Carl was talking about, decentralized identity solutions on Fuse, especially for something like client onboarding, registration, KYCs, these kind of processes can become a lot more easier. So any dApp developers can immediately use these frameworks that already exist in Fuse to build privacy respecting KYC, decentralized storage solutions with it.
Okay.
Another big, sorry, okay.
No, it's okay. And the Fuse bridge is a big one, right, as well, because the bridge.
Yeah. Another topic. It's an interesting topic. We've been successfully running the bridge, for 2 years now, more than 2 years. And we have a lot of experience in running the bridge, but we also see there is this huge security crisis in the market with the bridges, with all kind of bridges. So we are actively thinking, what would be our next home, next solution, next step for both developing the current Fuse bridge, but also in terms of operations wise. Currently Fuse kind of operates this. So we want to build this mechanism called trust minimized bridge, which basically means there should be enough people in the system, just like there are 60, 70 Fuse validators running the consensus on Fuse. There should be more what we call a bridge validators running Fuse bridge and setting up their own business logic. So in other sense, maybe the next version of Fuse bridge will enable a subset of qualified Fuse validators and other people to set up their own bridge logic to run the Fuse bridge and maintain the bridge operations, so that there'll be some economic incentives on what they get and all this kind of stuff. But that's the whole idea of that trust minimized bridges.
Okay, so in terms of kind of the documentation for some of this as well, Nagu, it's in the coming days and weeks we're going to start releasing more documentation around this, right? So this stuff will be available for developers to absorb and get into. Correct.
Yeah. So in the next few days or weeks, we'll be releasing a lot of articles and a topic specific more documentation detailing the roadmap and technical implementation. We already started some of the implementation process for what Carl was talking about, the DID, decentralized solution, privacy preserving KYC process, decentralized storage. So there's a lot more documentation is going to be coming, and it will be all hosted on the Fuse docs.
Nice, nice, nice. Which we've been working on and are updating. So nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nagy. Thank you for that. I think, yeah, I mean, the tech side of things is super deep, and I think I could do a call with you just on your own, Nagu, to be honest, and that would be a whole nother section that people would be interested in. But trying to give the overview right now. So as we said, if you want to dive deeper, all the documentation is there that you can dive into those topics we've discussed as well. But thank you, everybody. We tried to stick to a sort of 30-minute community call. We don't want to waste anybody's time here today, so. That's it for this week's call. I want to thank everybody, thank my colleagues for taking time out to prepare for this and to come and speak to the community. And again, as I said at the beginning, if you want to unpack anything, you want to go through anything, please just, this video will be straight onto YouTube and Twitter. Oh, apparently we've got a question. Let me have a look. Is the new roadmap live yet? Ooh. Who wants to take that one?
I'll take it. It comes back to what Nagy was saying earlier about Fuse 2.0. Roadmaps are something that when a project is born, kind of thing, a brand new project, you could do a sort of very like long-term roadmap. We're in building mode, basically. We're building constantly. So we will release a paper soon, sort of. Maybe in the next few weeks. It might take a little bit longer, but basically it's Fuse 2.0. It sort of outlines a lot of the infrastructure that's going to be put in place in order to help Fuse scale to a platform that's able to compete with Visa. That's the whole idea, and it sort of incorporates a lot of this different stuff. It talks about what's happening at the network level. It talks about a lot of the stuff that's happening at the infrastructure level. It talks about some of the sort of third-party integrators and whatnot that we'll be working with, and really gives a clear sort of understanding as to some of the challenges we're trying to overcome in order to make this technology work in the way that it needs to in order to scale, essentially. So coming.
That's it. Coming soon. It's a good point you make at the beginning there, Rob. I think in an industry like ours, things change so fast. You can make a roadmap, but it'll adapt anyway. So the most important thing for that question is for these people to tune into community calls, listen to what we're talking about. We're actually outlining the roadmap right here, right now. It's just not on paper, as it were, I guess. So, yeah, important to tune in with the community and to tune in. And yeah, thank you for the question. Good one. All right, cool. So if you do have any more questions, please just fire them onto Twitter, Discord. Always keen to hear from you guys, or on Telegram as well. And we'll do our best to answer all of those. In the meantime, to keep up to date with what's going on Fuse, you can keep it locked on our YouTube channel and on our social media as well. And if you're attending any of the events that Diana mentioned, give us a shout. Maybe we can link up and have a chat. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.